this meeting has been duly, you need me to start over? Okay. Let the record show that a quorum of members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. The time is 6:02. I'd like to turn some time over for our invocation by Mr. Dayton Williams, and then our Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Dale Inman.
Thank you. Please join me in a word of prayer if you so choose. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to gather and conduct the business of our school district. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to serve. We thank you for your continuous protection and grace over our families and this school district, bringing us safely back from the summer break. Now, Father, we ask a special prayer, a prayer of comfort and of peace that passes all understanding, to Miss Casey Arnold's family and this school district as we mourn the loss of someone we love so dearly. Grant us the strength daily to continue to do your will and the wisdom and discernment in our decision making. Grant us a blessed and prosperous 2022-2023 school year, Father. In closing, we ask forgiveness for our sins, confessed and unconfessed. Amen.
And now for the pledges to the American flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams and Mr. Inman. Appreciate that. Moving on to item 2, which is our awards and recognition. Item A, special board recognition for Destination Imagination Global Champions, the Timekeepers Academy of Science and Technology.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hubert. You know, as we have had opportunities month after month to really celebrate the achievements of our students, and they've gone out and competed not only in Houston area competition, state level competition, now national and world level competition. Tonight we celebrate our Destination Imagination Global Champions. And I just want to speak a little bit about Destination Imagination. It's time intensive, not only for kids, but for our sponsors, for parents, and our administration, who does such a wonderful job of coordinating the travel across the state and country for our kids. And so I'm going to bring up our GT coordinator who oversees this, and she's going to introduce our champions. But I want to give her a hand tonight as well, because without the work that she does, these kids wouldn't have this opportunity. So I'm pleased tonight to introduce you to Ms. Chris Reichelt.
Thank you so much. President Hubert, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Knoll, Destination Imagination is a global educational nonprofit or competition dedicated in aspiring the next generation of innovators, leaders, and creative problem solvers. DI provides unique educational experiences across 7 project-based challenge types: technical, scientific, engineering, fine arts, improv, service learning, and early learning. The DI Challenge experience is 100% student-driven, and challenges are designed to teach the creative process. Each season, new and engaging team challenges that encourage students to explore their passions, discover their unique talents and abilities, and to learn new skills are offered. Teams are also participate in instant challenges, which are quick, creative, and critical thinking exercises that build teamwork and problem-solving abilities. During the 21-22 school year, Conroe ISD had 110 teams participate in DI. Congratulations to the timekeepers from the Academy of Science and Technology, who have won 3 straight first-place world championships, and also received special awards from Global Finals 20, Global Finals 21, and now Global Finals 22. This has never been done in Destination before, let alone Conroe ISD. truly a monumental feat at its highest level. Their performance for the past season's Daring Escape technical challenge told the story of their growing up and being at a crossroad of looking into the future of the great unknown as graduating seniors and feeling nervous. Here's what the appraisal team had to say about their solution. This team's presentation was utterly magnificent. Start with the team-written music and lyrics to a full 8-minute musical, then throw in fantastic performances from the cast, who were both performing and telling the story of their team's DI journey over the years, supported by the timekeeper's character. Their rotating backdrops not only were beautifully made, but they advanced the storytelling with each scene change. The appraisal team was literally in tears after their performance. Before I go any further, I would like to take this opportunity to personally thank the board for your continued support in Destination Imagination. This program enables students who would not normally perform on an athletic field, but gives them a chance to shine in the academic arena. Tonight, I'm proud to introduce the members of the Global Champion team. I'm honored to recognize the timekeepers of the Academy of Science and Technology that were coached by Cindy Kim and John Anderson White. Timekeepers, when I call your name, please come forward. The timekeepers won first place for their 3rd year in a row in the secondary level Fine Arts Challenge. The team also won a Renaissance Award for exceptional creative artistry, workmanship, and storytelling. Timekeepers, when I say your name, please come forward and accept your award, and then stand to the right of me. The members are Abram Allen, Naaman Aurora, Marley Bartholomew, Jonathan Kim, and Rihanna Patel. President Hubert, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Knoll, I present to you the 3-time world champions, the timekeepers. And here's our coach, Cindy Kim.
I'd just like to say on behalf of the board, wow, you guys, I mean, that says it all. I couldn't describe, there's nothing else to be said. You guys, and still, I guess they had to say that every time, and still, world champions. They had to say it 2 or 3 times. So you guys have done a phenomenal job. You represent the best of CISD. You represent us well. We just can't say enough. Just tell me when you guys get ready to do that startup and let me know. I got some investment capital for you guys. But congratulations, we really appreciate everything that you do, the hard work that was put in by the teaching, the staff, and everyone that supported you guys, your parents, all along the way, and we know that you guys did a phenomenal job. I just can't wait to see, after she described what you guys performed and whatnot, I think I'm excited, more excited to see that performance, because that sounded magnificent. So congratulations, guys, on behalf of the board. We really appreciate everything you do, the hard work you put in, represent CISD. Great job, guys.
Congratulations to you. Great job.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done, well done. Congratulations. So happy for you. Congratulations. Congratulations, sir. Tell congratulations.
Congratulations.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Thanks so much. Thanks for all you do.
Congratulations.
Thank you very, very much.
3 feet and steel.
And steel. That's awesome. Great job. Congratulations, parents, too. That's something to be proud of. Great job. All right, moving on to item B, special board recognition for our transportation department, for all those moving kids.
Absolutely. So, as we talked about last month, we spend our summer months with the opportunity to celebrate our staff that are not housed directly on the campus with Ambassador Awards. And so we do that over the summer. Tonight, we are going to start the celebration with our transportation department. And we know that that's not a group that we can take for granted. Moving over 40,000 kids a day, just dealing with the traffic around here is hard enough in your own car. Imagine driving a giant bus full of children. And then on the management side of that, the folks that work in the offices that coordinate that movement of 40,000 kids riding buses safely to and from school every day. So here tonight to start us with the recognition is Mr. Chris McCord, our Assistant Superintendent for Operations.
President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. From Transportation, we are honored to be here before you tonight. We had a great year in transportation in 2021, 2022. We're really looking forward to this coming year. Among a couple of things that we're excited about are having air-conditioned buses for all of our route buses and field trip buses. That's a big deal. Never happened in the 130-year history of CISD. We're also exploring some potential technology innovations that we think could really be transformative for the parents and the kids and also the staffs at the schools. So we're excited about that. But what we're most excited about and most proud of is we have some outstanding staff that work long, hard days and really care about our kids and getting them to and from school and home efficiently and safely. And so Mr. Sam Davla, our Director of Transportation, is here to recognize these staff members. So I welcome Sam. Come on, Sam.
Come on.
Oops. Yeah, you wouldn't know it's the one back there at the back we hired because I was kind of compensating for my shortness. So I had to get the biggest and tallest in Texas, right? Mr. Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll, thank you so much for allowing us to be here today and allowing me to be able to present these wonderful employees that we have in transportation. I could go on for hours on how good and how wonderful our employees are, but what I want to do is take a few minutes out of our 600 or so employees that we have, recognize these folks that have stood out throughout last year. Without further ado, first I'd like to call up Mr. Richard Biggs. He's with our Conroe Transportation Center. Come on up. Richard is one of our regular ed drivers. Next, I'd like to call up another special person. Her name is Tawana Nolan. She is one of our operations supervisors for the Conroe Transportation Center. Like I said, these folks just work endless hours to making sure that our kids are picked up safely and delivered home. Next, from our East County Transportation Center is Anna Snow. East County is a special place. They have such a tight-knit family over there. It's so wonderful and how much they assist each other, and is just a part of that team and making sure everybody stays straight, even me. Next is our operations specialist from East County, Ms. Rhonda White. Rhonda's one of those folks that always answer the phones. That's always there, that ear that parents always talk to, and when they ever have a concern or a problem, she's always there for that. Next is Mr. Gilbert McKenzie. Mr. McKenzie is out of our Oak Ridge Transportation Center, and he is one of our regular education drivers. Next is Ms. Janice Henderson, regular ed driver out of Oak Ridge. You know, we just couldn't do this without our regular education drivers. I mean, they just do so much for us, making sure our kids get to and from school. And I can tell you, Mr. McCord mentioned about all the buses being AC now. So our employees are very thankful for.
Yeah, I bet they are.
Our buses having AC in them. Let's see, Miss Renia Reyes, I'm not sure, did she make it? No, sorry, Miss Reyes, okay. She wasn't able to make it today, but she's out of our Oak Ridge Transportation Center as well. Mr. Austin Richardson, Austin. Austin is one of those folks that work behind the scenes. He's one of our technicians, bus technicians. He's the one that keeps the ACs running and keeps the buses going, so. Our shop is always a favorite amongst our drivers. Matter of fact, we have to kind of like, don't give them gifts, okay? Y'all just let them do their thing. And then last but not least, it's actually a special needs duo. Unfortunately, our monitor wasn't able to make it, but her driver's here, Kelly Glover. Kelly? Kelly is part of a special needs team, and we call them a team because they just work together so well to make sure all of our special needs kids are taken care of. And it takes a team to make sure that all their needs are met. So this is our transportation ambassadors for this past year.
Good job.
I just have a few words I'd like to say on behalf of the board. We are so blessed to have you in our district. We know this is not an easy job. I mean, driving myself around this town is frustrating enough. I can't imagine what it would be like to have the responsibility of all our students on your backs too. So we just want to say we're incredibly grateful and blessed to have you as part of our team here, and we look forward to a great school year coming up. Thank you so much.
You're going to be our leader? You're our leader. You're first. Here we go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for all you do. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We do appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything.
Appreciate all your work.
Appreciate the hard
Thank you,
work.
sir.
Appreciate all you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you
For all you
for all you
do.
do.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Thanks a lot again.
Appreciate you. God bless you. Thanks so much. Appreciate your heart. Thanks, Austin. Appreciate you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much. Sam was good seeing you. God bless you.
All right. I will also let you guys know that Mr. Davila throughout the year will share with us special stories, so we don't have time to talk about all of them, but these bus drivers do more than just move these kids back and forth from school. They actually really show their love and compassion for these kids with these wonderful stories of giving out little buses and allowing autistic children to get on the bus after all the kids are gone, and just things that they go above and beyond. It's more than just the transportation of moving kids. It's the spirit that they bring. So we really appreciate that as well. Thank you for what y'all do. All right, we have some more board special board recognition. We have an ambassador award for our district staff support.
So there are many departments that work here in this building that support our campuses. And we understand, all of us that work in this building, we talk about it all the time, we understand that our primary job when we work in this building is to support the campuses and support the teachers in the classroom. And we have wonderful people that come to work every day here to make that happen. And so to make tonight's introductions is Ms. Sarah Blakelock.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. It's my pleasure to introduce some of the special individuals that Dr. Knoll just described to you. First off, we have Portia Spurlock with the Teaching and Learning Department. Portia has been with an administrative assistant with the Teaching and Learning Department for 4 years, and she has served in a variety of capacities. She's been with Conroe ISD for a total of 16. She's always punctual, dependable, and an innovative thinker. Her positive attitude is like a ray of sunshine, and so she's well thought of in mentoring new employees to the department. Thank you, Portia. Next, we have Marco Ovalle with the Technology Department. Marco has been with Conroe ISD for a total of 12 years. He started in the purchasing warehouse and then moved to the Conroe ISD Technology Department. He is a great asset not only to technology, but for the district. He is responsible for over 9,000 security cameras and 175 security video servers, and he always goes above and beyond in his day-to-day operations to serve the students and staff of Conroe ISD. Thank you, Marco. Next, we have Hillary Mcveigh from the Human Resources Department. Hillary's worked in Conroe ISD for the past 5 years, but joined the HR team in 2019. She served as the hiring specialist and is now the employment services specialist. In this position, she's responsible for the hiring process for paraprofessionals and auxiliary departments, which is essential to keeping the district running. She exemplifies the definition of teamwork. Not only does she strive to create and improve hiring systems within HR, she also serves on department's socials committee, so she is looking to bring a ray of sunshine to everybody that she works with as well. So thank you, Hillary. And last but not least, we have Loretto Thurman with the Communications Department. Loretto has been with Conroe ISD for 24 years. She's served in a variety of positions and knows everyone. From McCullough to the Woodlands, back to McCullough, to College Park, and finally at admin. Loretto knows Conroe ISD. Most may know her, however, as one of the first smiling faces you see upon entering the building. Her deep knowledge of the district and ability to reassure and instruct those in need of assistance is invaluable. She's everyone's mom, grandmother, friend, colleague, guide, whoever they need in that moment. And we're so thankful to have her. Thank you, Loretto.
All right, I'll be quick. I know we don't like standing up here. You know, every chain has to have a link, and every link has to count. And it doesn't matter whether you're the first on the chain or the last on the chain, every link in that chain counts. And y'all are essential in that link, in that chain. I know of most of you, and the departments you work in are all behind the scenes. Not everybody they see Loretto every morning when you walk in the door, but other than that, not everybody sees everybody else. But we just want you to know how much we're proud of you and how much you do. And we want to recognize here tonight as a part of our board that we acknowledge your hard work and your diligence and everything you do to make sure you may not be teaching in a classroom, but you matter just as much as everyone else does. And we just want you to say, we want to say to you, thank you for all that you do. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all you do. We appreciate it.
Congratulations, that's impressive, very impressive. Thank you so much. Thank you. 9,000 cameras. Wow. Thank you so much, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. We've been to Christmas party. They throw a good party.
All right. All right, and we have our final special board recognition for tonight. We love doing these every time. I know it makes the meeting a little bit longer, but it's important to recognize people for the work that they do. So our special board recognition, D, is Ambassador Award for Conroe ISD Police Department for the employees.
Yes, so we've always appreciated our Conroe ISD police, but certainly the events at the end of the last school year brings a new light to school policing, and we're fortunate that we do have the third largest police force in Montgomery County. They're well trained, they're very professional, and they care about and love kids. And and that starts from the top. And we're proud to have our new police chief here tonight, Matt Blakelock, to make the introductions. And I'm going to wait till he gets up here because I don't want him to walk like he's a fashion model. But
No,
he
that's
is
great
modeling
weather.
tonight the new uniform of our police department.
New blue.
They look very sharp. So if you may not remember the older uniforms, they had a lighter blue shirt, and these, from the word on the street is they're more breathable, I believe, which is good. So
We like to say brand new look, same great service. That's going to be our slogan. President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll, thank you for having me tonight to be able to recognize some of the men and women that work at the Conroe ISD Police Department. I am beyond blessed to work with the group that I do, the team that goes out there every day in their different capacities to keep our kids, our staff, and our visitors safe. And so, without further ado, I'm going to introduce 4 different people that work in 4 different capacities. All of them are equally as important to us, and anybody with kids will see that, that each one of these people will interact with their kid every single day that they come to school. The first person is JoLynn Marlin. Come on up. JoLynn has been a crossing guard with Conroe ISD since August of 1999. She has worked in the Woodlands crossing kids and parents for David Elementary and Collins Intermediate for as long as I can remember. Her daughter, Miranda West, has also now been a crossing guard for Conroe ISD for the past 2 years. Many of the kids JoLynn has helped safely walk to school over the years are now sending their children to school. Wow. And guess what? JoLynn Marlin is helping their kids get to school safely too. She can always be seen with a smile on her face while speaking with the students and the parents that she has grown to know while providing an invaluable service to our CISD community. JoLynn is the embodiment of the spirit of service, and we are so happy to have her on our CISD team. Next, I'd like to recognize Edward Stone Sr. Edward is a prevention control monitor at Conroe High School. Anyone passing by or visiting Conroe High this year has seen that a lot of things are changing so that CISD can continue to provide the best campus life and safety at one of the largest high schools in Texas. One constant amid all of these changes is Ed Stone. Every day, Ed is there not just providing safety and security to the campus, but also offering his years of wisdom and guidance to students, parents, and staff when they need help. Ed Stone knows the kids, and they know him. If the students don't see Mr. Stone on campus, they will go to the police officers and ask when Mr. Stone will be back, and they just want to make sure that everything's okay with him. He has worked for Conroe ISD for 5 years and has been an integral part of strengthening our campus community. We appreciate Ed Stone for what he does each day at Conroe High and for Conroe ISD. Next, I'd like to recognize John LaPlante. John LaPlante has been a Conroe ISD police officer for 7 years. This comes after 19 years of police service in St. Louis, Missouri. He is currently assigned to McCullough Junior High. Officer LaPlante has done an outstanding job building rapport and relationships with students. He makes a daily effort to not only positively interact with students, but to offer mentorship and guidance to all of them. Every day, the students approach Officer LaPlante high-fiving him, calling out greetings to him, and he knows each one of them by name. One example of his interactions was during the pandemic when he created a drawing contest in which the content was an expression of how 2020 related to the students. He created the rules, he set up the judges, and he donated the prize for first place. Many students participated and submitted amazing artwork. This was a fantastic way to allow students to express themselves and also foster positive police and student interactions. Officer John LaPlante is a shining example of what CISD community-based policing is all about. Last but not least, I said I was going to recognize 4 people. That's not necessarily true, but this last one we consider a person, Fila. Fila is an 11-year-old Belgian Malinois who came to work for Conroe ISD Police Department in 2013 when she was just shy of 2 years old. She came to us from Holland, and her name is Dutch, meaning free-spirited. And believe me, she is free-spirited. She has certifications from the National Narcotics Detector Dog Association and many other awards, but her biggest awards include literally hundreds of thank you letters from staff and students, present and past, who she's been able to meet and interact with. Fila is a narcotics detection K-9, but she is also a star among staff and students of Conroe ISD. She has participated in countless community outreach presentations, in addition to the years of being proactive in keeping our schools safe from drugs. While we are sad that Fila will retire this year from service with Conroe ISD, we are happy to share that she will now be a retired police K-9 and household friend to her handler, Corporal Joel Armstrong. And she will now have a buddy, now that Corporal Armstrong has received his new partner, Smokey, another Belgian Malinois. Corporal Armstrong, we did not name the dog. Corporal Armstrong will be very quick to tell you that his new partner will not replace Fila, because Fila is simply irreplaceable. We will miss her greatly, but wish her the very best on her well-deserved retirement.
That's right, Fila, you tell them. Well, congratulations, and on behalf of the board, we would like to say thank you for your dedication to all of our students as well as our entire district. Everyone, as you heard, each of these individuals puts our students first, whether it's at the crosswalk or in the classroom or in the hallways. And that is so incredibly important, because for our students, sometimes just being known is what they need. Being seen is what they need. And you never know how that's going to make a difference in their day. And I thank you for that. Thank you for taking the time. And thank you to our new chief as you start your wonderful, wonderful year and wonderful career as our chief of police. So thank you all. Congratulations.
Group picture, group picture. Yeah. Hang on, we're gonna get one more picture.
Oh, I wouldn't take it away from her. You're on your own.
That is your dog.
She's dialed in.
Oh, look at that. Wow. Wow.
That's great.
Come on, Thurman.
Just let her look it out of your head.
That's a number of years. Good to see you, sir. Absolutely. Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything.
Yo, you still playing basketball? How you doing, man? It's been 20 years. I've been seeing you.
Thank you, Officer White.
Thank you for everything, bro. Good job, man. Thank you, bro.
God bless you, thanks.
Good job, Chief. Nice
job, nice job.
I got you. That's it.
All right. All right. Moving on to board item 3, our citizen participation. Mrs. Godfrey, do we have anybody signed up tonight?
Yes, we do.
Very good. Okay, tonight's meeting is a special board meeting of trustees. Board policy BED limits public comments at special meetings to only comments on posted agenda items. However, because our regular July meeting was canceled due to a quorum of board members being unavailable, I would ask the board if they would like to waive this requirement for tonight's special board meeting and allow those who have signed up to address the board during public comments to address the board on any topic, not just those on tonight's agenda. Do I
So
have
moved.
approval for that? A motion?
Second.
Second. All right. All those in favor, show with uplifted hand. You opposed by the same sign? Very good. All right. Very well. Citizens who have signed up to address the board may speak on any topic. If a patron during public comment addresses the board on an issue that is on tonight's posted agenda, the board will defer its discussion on the issue until the item is reached on the agenda. For any issue that is not on board's posted agenda, the board cannot and will not deliberate or make a decision related to that issue. The purpose of this meeting is for the Board of Trustees to conduct the business of the district. Speakers who have signed up to address the board during public comment must make all comments to the Board of Trustees and not to the audience. The board has specific policy under which the board considers complaints. If your purpose is to seek some type of remedy, the board cannot discuss or respond to your concern until you have met the requirements of the appropriate district policy. Accordingly, the board will not hear complaints or derogatory comments about individual students or staff during public comment. Information about how to file a complaint is located on the district's website. The board expects that everyone in attendance will conduct themselves respectfully, regardless of whether they agree or disagree with the speaker's message. Interrupting speakers or this meeting will not be tolerated. To ensure that the board can effectively conduct the district's business, each of the speakers who have registered to address the board will be given 3 minutes to present their comments. Each speaker's time will be displayed on the screens around. Do we have the time?
Yes.
Okay. Each speaker's time will be displayed on the screens around the room. When the countdown timer reaches 0, the next speaker will be called. Ms. Godfrey, will you please call our first person?
Carolyn Nini.
Well, following a dog is a hard act to follow.
They're a fan's favorite, that's
And
for sure.
I'm over here crying because I love pets. Okay, unfortunately, I'm here tonight to let all of you know how disappointed I am in the board members at this particular time. At the previous school board meeting on May 17th, many parents spoke out against the inappropriate, sexually immoral, pornographic, and vulgar books that are in our school board libraries, or in our school libraries. You were provided a 75-page document that listed 35 books that, according to the Texas Penal Code 43.24, should not be allowed in a school setting where minor children have access. The following school board meeting that occurred in June, you outlined your action plan, which, by the way, you never mentioned the 35 books, but rather you contacted your library management system to create a software system that would give parents, and I quote, real-time access to what their children are checking out of the library. I don't even know how to respond to this. You would not need to be jumping through hoops and trying to create a new software if you would just simply remove these books. The moral upbringing of our children is the responsibility of the parents and not the government nor the school system. You are drifting beyond the borders of that we voted you to do. So I stand before you no longer requesting that the books be removed, but I am now demanding that all sexually deviant books and teaching materials immediately be removed from all CISD schools. And I leave you with this, Luke 17:2. It would be better for a man to have a millstone hung around his neck and thrown into the sea than to cause one of these little ones to stumble, saith the Lord. Thank you.
Celeste Grabowski.
I'll be as fast as I can.
You got 3 minutes.
I'm a former teacher, and I'm not used to talking so fast. Good evening. My name is Celeste Grabowski, and I'm a parent of 2 students in CISD, and also a veteran teacher with 19 years in the classroom, 14 of which were in Conroe ISD before I decided to stay home this year. I appreciate all you've done to raise pay for educators, and I'm excited to speak to the board tonight at the beginning of a new school year in CISD. I know campuses have been busy hiring during this difficult time with teacher shortages, and their work is not yet done. However, there's one group of employees that is essential to every campus that we need to take a closer look at in regard to compensation. This group is our paraprofessionals. While the beginning pay has been raised, and I appreciate that, to $14 an hour, I feel this is not equivalent to the value they add to our children and the responsibilities these employees are given. Parents provide the support needed by many children with and without IEPs. For many of these students with IEPs, meeting their goals depends on instruction and support being available. When positions are unfilled, campuses struggle to meet the needs despite their best efforts.
It puts a strain on the administration and staff, especially special education staff and inclusion teachers. Teachers and parents can and do experience burnout from being spread too thin. I've seen this happen firsthand with some incredible, caring, and committed teachers and staff. We all have the same goals to educate all children and give them social, academic, and emotional supports that they need. Unfilled positions mean unmet needs. The effects of these unmet needs can manifest in different ways, but include and are not limited to lost learning, unmet goals, behavioral disruptions in general and special education classrooms, which affect the learning environment for all students and all teachers. We have rotating subs sometimes in and out of our classrooms, and this can be especially difficult for our children with autism and other difficult developmental disabilities. So I'm gonna skip ahead, 'cause I have more. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit, y'all. As a classroom teacher, my personal students benefited from a veteran para when I had high needs inclusion class for 2 years. The value added and learning outcomes would not have been the same if she was not a consistent part of my classroom. She knew exactly what the needs were and supported students seamlessly throughout the instructional day. This amazing woman retired 2 years ago. We did not replace her last year. Her position was unfilled the entire year. I knew at the time that she was barely making ends meet, and that broke my heart. I can only imagine how much harder it is now with inflation and high gas prices for our paraprofessionals. Currently, there are over 40 jobs posted on the CISD website with the job tag listed as instructional aide. With the children starting school soon, I hope that these will be filled. In closing, we spend money on what we value. The annual pay is still not enough. I'm here asking for the board to take another look at their pay and make adjustments as soon as possible to attract and, more importantly, retain the best pairs for our students.
Thank you.
Misty Odenwiller.
Wow. KTRH, KHOU, the Houston Chronicle, the Courier, Messages to Parents, Conroe ISD's Facebook page, school board members on their personal Facebook pages, and wives making comments on their personal Facebook pages. All profess and declare we are not teaching CRT in Conroe ISD. To quote Shakespeare, I think the district doth protest too much. This need to shout from the hills could have been avoided with better personnel decisions. Tamika Taylor's video, which has gone missing, informing others how to avoid using buzzwords like CRT, culturally responsive teaching, coincidentally called CRT, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and social emotional learning still sit fresh in the parents' and public's mind. Why should anyone be given counsel for by a district attorney on how to avoid terms that will cause concerns, just so that one may continue teaching material that we aren't teaching? If we aren't teaching it, we shouldn't have to avoid using the terms that will cause concern. Dr. Null even admits we are participating in culturally relevant teaching. Number two, not hiring a self-avowed CRT proponent that wrote and argued his doctoral thesis at U of H for CRT, quoting and using information from leaders of CRT, was a non-renewed contract employee of Cy-Fair ISD, would have also been a good start. The thesis is loaded with content about colorblindness, lowering standards for culturally diverse students, and white curriculum. On page 127, he wrote, I began to question the teacher's outlook on the students. This led to an emerging theme of colorblindness. This most often happens when teachers do not think of their students in terms of race or ethnicity. There were a lot of comments about how they try to treat all students the same and do not use race as a reason to help a student. That is a bad thing? Trying to see each of your students for the child and learner that they are, that came with a certain skill set and schema, should be a good thing. Not worrying about their race other than helping them achieve and grow to the most of their abilities. It is never good to lower standards or because of one's race, but to assist all to achieve and reach their best standards. And number three, I'm not going to have much time for, I ask that you put a policy in place that absolutely bans all tenants of CRT and supplemental materials. You were asked by a member of the public to do so, and you declined. I ask, as do many other folks in this room, that you adopt a policy that was set forth by HB 3979 and SB 3. Otherwise, you're just making lip service.
Robert Holden.
Thank you. Bob Holden of Willis. I'd like to start by saying thank you for being in service, for agreeing to take this contract for the true minimum wage. Fortunately, unlike those who are working in Afghanistan to get our people out who were left behind, they face imminent death daily. You don't, which is good. But I do appreciate that you really took service. I heard we might double your salary, incidentally. We hired you to improve the education of our kids, and you failed miserably. Even in the 4th grade, we're about 35th in the world. I heard one excuse artist try to say it's related to the fact that some countries will separate the vocational and the educational about junior high level. But that ignores the fact that that's only a few countries, and it also ignores the fact that that was true when we were #1 in the world. Personally, I'm tired of living and working overseas and being laughed at how stupid we are or how uneducated we are. Perhaps the most important subject right now is vaccinations. I'm sure you know the studies and data from around the world, and you've got one in the handout there, and know the law in Texas. Incidentally, if you get the jab and a couple of boosters, I believe there's a cure for that now, and you might want to seek that. I don't know. I'm sure you're aware of the significant number of children harmed and died from the masks and the shots. And worldwide statistics show that maybe one, and that's debatable, child under 18 died of COVID. Why are we going that way? Have you notified all the parents in Texas that it's completely their choice to not get the COVID experimental drug if they wish, and how they can also avoid other immunizations, including all vaccinations, if they so choose? And you got to let the parents know they don't know this. If I lived in Uvalde, I would definitely be suing every school member for wrongful death. Yeah, they have a police chief, but the board, everyone, is individually responsible for all things in that school. They hire supposed experts to advise them, like a superintendent, police chief, curriculum manager, etc., whose job it is to advise them and implement what they choose to be implemented in the school. You are each individually responsible, and a lot of people are looking at that closely. You're not currently trusted to do well. But listen to the parents. Listen to those who hired you for suggestions. We're here to help you out. We really are. Some suggestions: put cameras in the classroom that the parents can access. Every board member should audit at least 2 classes a week. And Mr. Hubert, I believe you would have to put permission in the schools so the board members have free access. Now that no policy, directive, regulation from the Federal Department of Education has any meaning, I'm sure you're reviewing that, and I'm sure you've briefed your teachers on the fact that Christianity is now allowed to be practiced in the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel Walker. Rachel Walker.
Good evening, Board, President Hubert, Dr. Knoll. My name is Rachel Walker, and I'm running for CISD Board of Trustees, Position 1. But tonight, I'm here as a parent. I'm here as a parent of 4 kids in the Conroe Oak Ridge North feeder zone, and I am here as a PTO board member of Oak Ridge Elementary. As you know, Oak Ridge Elementary is a Title I school with many Spanish-speaking students and parents. We have a wonderful principal, and our administration works hard to make sure our Spanish-speaking parents are included. This year, we've made it the goal of the PTO to ensure that our PTO meetings are also accessible to our Spanish-speaking parents as well. Which brings me to the reason that I'm speaking to you tonight. My challenge to you as a board is to do the same with these meetings. CISD has many parents who speak Spanish as their primary language. As a district that strives to be welcoming to all and inclusive to everybody, I think making Board of Trustee meetings available in Spanish is in line with that value. I won't take up time talking about logistics, but there are some cheap programs that provide Spanish captions that you can run your YouTube videos through. It's a good way to start. And that's all I have for today. I have a lot of time left, so I'm going to close by just saying it's not an easy job that you have lately. So I just want to thank you all for every time I've come up here to make public comment, I get eye contact, and I'm received with such openness. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Elise Groneman. Elise Groneman.
Going once,
Peggy
going
Roscoe.
twice.
Good evening, Dr. Knoll and board members. My name is Peggy Roscoe. I'm a mother, grandmother, former teacher in the CISD community. I'm here tonight to talk about our diverse school community and how to protect the diversity that makes us a better and richer community. We are all aware of the many competing voices that have demanded changes to schools and school policies. Loud does not equal the majority opinion or best practices. Tonight, I want to caution against improperly inserting religion into public schools. I raised my children in our faith and continue to be involved in my church. But I also respect the rights of others to choose their own religious beliefs, or even their right to have no religious beliefs. I read recently about a Washington State high school football coach who prayed on the football field. The case went to court, and the practice can continue under certain circumstances. I know nothing about him, but I have the gist of what his prayer was. I would not have been offended or felt coerced, but it's not just about me. It's about the thousands of other students in the district who have different religious beliefs. And I wonder, what would the reaction have been had the coach put down a Muslim prayer rug and then begun to lead a Muslim prayer, or a Jewish prayer, or a Hindu prayer, or you get the picture? Would the support have been so positive? I'm afraid the answer is no, and that's the problem. We need to respect all the citizens and taxpayers in a community, and those families have a right to expect their beliefs to be honored, even if they are not a majority. CISD has about 68,000 students. That represents a lot of diversity in many areas, including religion. I respectfully request that CISD be vigilant when and where it is allowing teachers or coaches to lead groups of students in prayer. Most students are not going to publicly rebel against a teacher leading a religious activity, but make no mistake, participation is coerced, even if unspoken. It is a situation of unequal power, and the teacher has the power. The student does not. A public school which uses the tax money of all citizens should refrain from engaging in religious practices that don't reflect the diversity of the tax base. It's about respect. It's about taxation and representation. And as my faith teaches me, it is about loving my neighbor as myself, even when we don't share the same beliefs. In closing, I would like to thank you for your service to our district and the good work you do for CISD.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amber Sullivan.
That's nice.
I have been an employee of CISD for 13 years now, and the past 6 years I've been a high school librarian at 2 different campuses. While at Hawk High School, I tripled the number of book checkouts and was Humanitarian of the Year. At Grand Oaks High School, I earned Ambassador Educator of the Year award, and my co-librarian and I checked out over 18,000 books to students last year. So hear me when I tell you I'm an asset to CISD. For the past year, these meetings have been an open attack on librarians, and in the past 2 months, library materials have even been an agenda item. Yet, no one has come to talk to us, the actual librarians. Librarians believe wholeheartedly in 2 CISD truths. We read for a better life, and all means all. What I'm not sure is common knowledge is that to become a school librarian, you must have earned a master's degree specifically in library science. We hold a specialized degree in how to curate and maintain a school library collection, but that's not even what makes us as experts in our field. We are experts in choosing books because we actually work with the students every single day. I work with over 3,400 young adults every day, and I'm telling you, you need to give our high school students a little more credit. They live in this world too. They dealt with a worldwide pandemic. They dealt with a school shooting 300 miles from here, and only 4 years ago, one 80 miles from here. They deal every single year with having to mourn classmates that die in car accidents, from drug use, and from suicide. But you want to remove books that help them process these things because you deem them too obscene? Let me put it in perspective. A high school student can walk in the cafeteria and make a plan to enlist in the U.S. military with a recruiter, but then walk 20 steps into the library and their mommy will have to approve their book they check out. They're mature enough to take college-level AP and dual credit classes, to get driver's license, and to have full access to the internet on their phones. But then we need to remove access to books that may have some language and a minor provocative paragraph? One paragraph out of 300 pages does not make a book pornography. When one of my library aid students watched the playback of the May meeting when the book was read aloud from and then coincidentally pulled from a jacket pocket later in discussions, she said, "That book helped me come to terms with what happened to me my freshman year, and I finally got the courage to talk to my parents about it." Sexual assaults are hard to read about, but statistics say 1 in 9 girls under the age of 18 are the victim of a sexual assault. That's a whole lot of all mean all in our high schools. Books allow students the safest platform to deal with big emotions and situations. Trust your librarians. We are experts in books. We are experts in our students. And trust our students. They know what they can handle and what they cannot. If it only reaches one of our 64,000 students, then it belongs because they belong.
Thank you.
Marie Young. Marie Young.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm good? Okay. All right. My name is Marie Young. I'm a graduate from Stephen F. Austin State University with a major in art and a minor in criminal justice. I am a former student of Conroe ISD School District. When I was in public school, a parent had to sign a consent form before a sex ed could be taught. However, pornographic books are not included in this consent form, and I believe they should not be in libraries at all. In sex offender studies, the stages of grooming include identifying and targeting a victim, gaining trust and access, and breaking the child's emotional defenses. Groomers will act by coercion, manipulation, and will lead to conditioning a child in sexual acts. These grooming techniques can be done by showing explicit content, isolating children from parents, and encouraging them to act with them on the behavior. Does this not sound familiar? Loudoun County was a hot topic due to the sexual content shown in schools and the books for CRT. Children were told to not show their parents the sexual content in their school books. That's strike one for grooming. Schools are encouraging secrecy and told not to speak with their parents. That's a second strike for grooming. Explicit content shown in any physical material and desensitization, making the child more susceptible to predators. That's a third strike for grooming. This is a gateway for predators to have open season on children, making provocative moves on vulnerable minds. Surprisingly, people are not informed of grooming or pedophilia and what is considered endangerment to the child. I'm here to inform you that this is pedophilia and grooming. Pedophilias are fully aware and find a perfect opportunity in a community filled with grooming. They build a relationship and rob innocence of the child after developing a relationship. Eric Rahman mocked parents for not wanting to teach school and LGBTQ lessons, sex lessons, and he was arrested with 2 other men and a sting operation for pedophilia this week. Kids have no idea that they are about to be conditioned in grooming and objectified to this material. More cases will arise. And then what? Are we supposed to prevent the damage? The moment teachers and school board members knowingly allow this to happen, they themselves should be held accountable, but loopholes allow pedophilias full access to all children in the system. Parents need to be aware that this deviant behavior should not be normalized. Policymakers have encouraged it. In the state of Texas, Lovejoy ISD, a high school teacher resigned over a sexual relationship with a male gay student. Explicit message over the phone had been verified. The media is complicit to pedophilia for encouraging such damage on children and for bashing parents for protecting them. The media thinks they can speak for us, but I'm saying this as someone who grew up in the public school system. I stand with the parents. School board members are not only losing trust of parents, but students as well. If prayer is looked down upon, but sexual books are allowed, then it's time to pause and reflect, because we are choosing exploitation of children over protecting them. Children everywhere need to be protected, raised in a learning culture, not pedophilia culture. Do the right thing and protect these children. Thank you.
Stuart Schrader.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Null. This past May of 2022, a graduate of the Woodlands High School who enlisted in the United States Marine Corps was denied the opportunity to wear the sash provided by the Marines with her regalia at the commencement ceremonies of TWHS. Principal Ted Landry told me in an email that the TWHS traditions permit graduates who have enrolled in the Armed Forces of the United States wear red, white, and blue cords with their gowns. Upon further inquiry, I learned that each of the 7 high schools within the Conroe Independent School District have somewhat different graduation traditions. While viewing the photo slideshow of the high school commencement ceremonies on the Conroe ISD official website, I noticed a photo of a Caney Creek High School graduate wearing a military sash with their gown. This is clearly a case of discrimination. It is well past time for the trustees of the Conroe Independent School District to develop a standardized policy regarding high school graduation regalia. The policy must include the ability to wear Armed Forces sashes if the graduate has, number 1, actually signed a contract of enlistment with one of the branches of the service of the United States of America. Number 2, the sash is an official sash provided by that student's branch of the Armed Forces. Before these students ever considered walking across the stage, they have already committed to protecting our nation and our constitutional freedoms with their lives if necessary. They certainly should be recognized for this decision to serve our country. I am still puzzled and extremely disappointed with Dr. Landry's decision in this matter, especially since he himself is a veteran of the Marine Corps. This situation should not have been a hill to die on, but somehow poor decision making made it such. Full disclosure, the student in question is the daughter of a former coworker. My former coworker has in no way requested I speak to you or influenced my decision to be present tonight. These remarks represent only my views. Thank you.
Commissioner Stewart.
That's it.
Okay, very good. Thank you to all those who participated. All right, moving on to item 4, consent agenda. Have not heard from anybody to take anything off the agenda, the consent agenda, so
I move we approve as presented the consent agenda.
Second.
have a motion and a second. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Very good. Motion passes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
All right, moving on to item 5, teaching and learning. Item A, review State Board of Education certification, professional development, clearinghouse recommendations, and consider approval of the district's professional development plan 2022 to 2023 school year.
All right, Dr. Chris Hines.
Thank you. Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll. In light of Update 119 that you will be approving policy DMA shortly, I want to bring forward to you for approval our continuing education and clearinghouse schedule of training. Senate Bill 1267 requires school districts to adopt a professional development policy that is guided by recommendations for training in the State Board for Educator Certification Continuing Education and Training Clearinghouse that notes any difference in the policy adopted by the district from the recommendations in the clearinghouse, and that includes a schedule of all the trainings required for educators or other school personnel. And so tonight we're going to ask you to approve that schedule of training that you have. It should be noted that this training plan is separate and apart from the district's professional learning framework, right? Which is available online. The clearinghouse recommended trainings generally encompass areas that are health, safety, reporting requirements, and they're delivered via an online catalog of courses. We are asking you to approve the training schedule that you received, which includes the courses that we use in our online library to meet those 7 courses that are recommended in the Clearinghouse, as well as the 11 additional courses that we've added in our training plan. And we request that you approve that schedule.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion, and we need a second.
Second.
All right, do we have any discussion? Any questions? All right, seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Very good, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 6, legal, A, consider adoption of legal policy manual update 119 and revision of board policy DFBB.
All right, Ms. Gladys.
Thank you. You know, you've had this for about a month to read these hundreds of pages of policy. And as you know, as Dr. Hines referred to, DMA as a part of this one is the requirement of the law that we review that plan. We tweaked DFBB, which was not a part of 119. That's our non-renewal policy. It lists the reasons that you approved for non-renewal and made those a little bit more clear. Most of the rest of them are not very racy and are just to comply with the last legislative session to bring us into compliance with those new laws and administrative regulations that we'd ask that you adopt the local policies contained in that update.
Very good.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, conversation? All right, thanks for paying attention to that, guys. Call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. And nope, carries unanimous. All right, very good. Moving on to item B, repeal local policy EF instructional resources and adopt a local policy EFA instructional resources, instructional material, and EFB instructional resources for library materials. Ms. Gladys?
Thank you. Okay, so we need you to revoke a policy that you previously passed and adopt 2 in its place. And we visited this about a month ago. And as you know, we took the comments that you all shared with us along with the TEA's recommended policy revisions and divided our EF policy, which addressed all instructional resources in one policy, and separated them out wisely into 2 policies. One that deals with instructional materials that is defined in the Texas Education Code, and the other with library materials. And I think it makes it clear for everyone how to respond. The policies are similar to each other. They're similar in that they both contain criteria for selection, but the criteria obviously is different. They both contain prohibitions against materials containing harmful materials defined by the Penal Code. They both encourage parental involvement in libraries or in instructional materials. And they both contain processes that are very similar about how to challenge a resource, a material that someone would have an issue with. They are different, though, as I said, in the selection criteria that they utilize to pick instructional materials. You know, many of those are set by the state. And then it sets out 5 criteria that you guys, if you approve the policy, would support for people adding to teachers to select other things that to use in teaching the curriculum. The library policy, EFB, sets out the Texas Archives Commission's library standards, which are universal and which TEA also recommended be the standards for selecting library materials. So one, thank you to you guys for requesting 2 separate policies, and we would ask that you adopt EFA and EFB as we presented and repeal EF local so that we can have the 2 separate.
And if I could just maybe ask, just for clarity's sake, these are exactly what was presented last. It's a 2-month process to approve a policy. So it's exactly what was presented last month. And then this month is the approval, just the way we go through policy. Okay.
I move we approve as presented.
Second.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Any conversation or discussion? No discussion? We're good? Okay, all right, very good. All those,
All one motion to repeal and
Yes.
replace?
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
That's it? That's all you have? Okay, very good. All those in favor show by uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Very good. Motion carries, and so we'll be able to enforce all of those things now, where we
Yes.
couldn't enforce anything because we couldn't change anything, but now we've got it, and so we can enforce all of that.
Correct, and it'll be online probably in 2 or 3 days. It takes a little bit for, the policy manual to get updated, but they're in your, available through your board book, or if anybody calls the office, but our manual, it takes a little bit for it to get updated, but it should be by the end of the week or first part of next week.
All right, very good. Thank you for that. All right, moving on to item 7A, receive capital improvements update.
Okay,
That would
Mr.
be
Foster.
Mr. Foster.
Got the Aggie maroon jacket on tonight. There you go, all right.
That's my
He's not that faint, College Station.
Sure. President Hubert, members of the board,
yeah.
Dr. Null.
Aubergine.
It's my pleasure to bring you an update of our capital improvements we have underway throughout the district. We'll start with our safety and security program for 2022. Again, this is just a representation of where we've been working over this past year. So we've been working on these schools, and it's just things you primarily can't see. So it's access control, new impact-resistant films on vestibules, cameras, upgrades to overall security of our campuses. The project is proceeding as we've planned, and it is on schedule, and we will be working through this throughout the calendar year. And we look forward to bringing the next installment of this program to you in the first part of next calendar year, which I believe with our the way our bond sales were configured, we're going to push annual allotment for the rest of the bond into one. So we'll bring one more approval for safety and security around December, January for your approval to finish out the district-wide effort. Our campus renovations project, which our primary focus was Gladys Elementary, which is the overhaul of the building systems that have reached the end of their service life. So we've been able to remove essentially everything above the ceiling in that campus and put it all back. So you're seeing what the classrooms there look like this morning as we're working around teachers, helping them get their classrooms set up for school to start next week. That project is completing as we had scheduled it, and it will be ready for students when they return next week. At Creighton Elementary, this is our overhaul of that campus, where this summer we've been expanding the kitchen and serving lines to better serve that student population. You can see all the equipment is installed. They're working on the finer details to connect the kitchen to the main part of the campus. That project is on schedule. We've got everything ready to put food in coolers and start serving our students their meals on time. So I'm happy to report that will be ready for school when it starts next week as well. Our new Moorhead Junior High School, so this school is scheduled to open in August of 2023. The building itself is nearing the point where it's completely dried in all the way around. We are working on the interior finishes of that building currently. You can see the exterior improvements, the athletic fields, all those things are coming together. It's beginning the process to establish the turf grass on the football field, our athletic field, and the other vegetated areas on the outside of the campus. Like I said, it is on schedule, and we're scheduled to open in August of 2023. At Conroe High School, this is the major overhaul of the Conroe High School campus. Again, these pictures are a little bit older than I would like to show you. We've been able to get all of the concrete that we talked about trying to get in place as of Friday, a full week ago. So the concrete is in place for the next school year. The temporary connections that make the bus loop work like it did last year for this next school year are in place, and we're happy that project is on schedule for students to return from their summer break next week as well. The picture here is, like I said, it's a couple weeks old. If you drove by there today, you're starting to see it clean up and get ready for the first day of school. So the athletic field is green now with the turf grass on it, and we're working with our athletics department so that they can get full use of that field over the next day or so. The project overall is on schedule. We've continued on with the building, so you're seeing the athletics venues that are right at the west end of the Moorhead Stadium come together. You're seeing that building begin the process of closing up. On the top of the screen, you can't really see is the CTE venues. Those are wrapping up very well. So we'll be looking for mid-year turnovers of those campus entities, that we would continue that project and turn it over whatever we can when we can. But overall, the project is on schedule. We'll be there through the calendar year 2025.
So we are ready for drop-off for first day of school. I know last time we talked about the concerns of the concrete shortage affecting drop-off routing for return to school, but that has all been solved and
correct. I mean, the drop-off plan, we've got the infrastructure in place for it, and we've given the preliminary map, so to speak, so that the campus can start developing and communicating that plan. But it'll work almost exactly like it did last school year. It'll just be on brand-new pavement for a very long section of it.
Yeah,
So, but
we'll-
yes, we are ready for school.
We'll still have the same construction challenges, but we'll have exactly what we anticipated having. You know, a month ago, we were worried that we would not have concrete,
Yeah.
and it would be a whole different problem and much bigger. We've solved that one, so. It's a giant construction site with while also being a giant high school, but they're managing it very well. And everybody's been flexible in the process.
Is there any way at the end of all of this that you could take like an aerial picture of what it looked like in 2015 to what it's changed? Because, I mean, I remember when the road went through there, and I mean, it just looks completely different as it is right now.
We have quite literally hundreds of thousands of photographs. I bet we could stitch
Yeah,
something.
that would be neat to see a side
So
by
like a
side.
contest, find the 100 differences?
There you go. Yeah.
These are the same picture. All right, I appreciate those comments. Thank you very much. At Oak Ridge High School, this is overhaul of the Oak Ridge High School building itself with the systems that need to be replaced at the end of their service life in our South County CTE programs. So I apologize for the low part of the picture, but if you look in the bottom, you'll see the yellow area. That's the new admin section, which we're looking for a mid-year turnover, so they should move into it over the Christmas break. And then when the students return in January, that'll be the new admin section of that building. Just move a little bit to the left on the screen. You'll see that nice shiny concrete slab. That is the new CTE area. It's got steel stacked up on it. If you drove it by there today, you'd see some of that steel vertical. On the inside of the campus, I'm looking forward to really showing you what those pictures look like as we turn over the inside, because we've made some dramatic changes to the inside along Main Street and some other portions of that building, which we'll most likely be showing you at our next board meeting to help that campus operate more efficiently as we reorganize how that campus works. Overall, that project is on schedule and will be there through August of 2023. Moving on to Christopher J. Hines Elementary School. It's our Flex 22 in the Grand Oaks feeder zone. All right, so that project is on schedule. It's scheduled to open in August of 2023. You can see from our overhead picture, the neighborhood around us is beginning to develop as well. Structural steel's on site, moving along very well also, and we're beginning to develop the site paving that'll make the final road connections that put all that campus together. Like I said, it is currently on schedule, and we'll open it for students in August of 2023.
Is that cleared land or scorched ground from the weather?
Combination.
Well,
That's
fortunately
what I'm
or
looking at.
unfortunately, that is cleared land for new housing developments, so. So it is a growing area.
Yeah, that's for all the kids that are going to be going there.
Yeah.
I'll qualify that's where some of the kids are going to live. They will go there. All right, now moving on to our new maintenance and child nutrition facility. This is a facility on FM 2854 right out here in the city of Conroe. Since this picture was taken, the building slab is about 95% complete. Structural steel has been arriving over the last couple of weeks. So that if you drove by that today, you'd see some of that building standing vertically as well. That project is on schedule and currently scheduled to open in the summer of 2023. At Caney Creek High School, that's our upgrades to help that campus become a 6A programmed high school. This is just a representation on the inside of the locker facilities that we've been working on. We've got things kind of all shifted around. We're adding a weight room, we're adding some locker space, we're moving the training rooms around, reorganizing it to better serve all the sports that are available to our students and their participants when they become that 6A campus this year. So we are phasing turnovers. So we're not turning everything over all at once. We're going to turn over sports as they get completed. So they're currently working on the shower facilities for these sports. As they get done, we'll open them to students and move to another section of the building. But overall, it is proceeding very well. Like we had planned, it is working well. It is on schedule. On the front end of the building, we waited until students left for the summer break to start the new front door. And this, again, in the last couple of weeks, we've got some more structure standing up, looking there. We'll love to show you new pictures when we come to the next board meeting. But we're working through the process and trying to get this area completed as well. So it'll be the very definite front door of Caney Creek High School when we're finished. And as soon as we can get it open, we will turn it over for their use as well. It was obviously more work than you could do in a 6-week summer program, but we're working to turn it over before the winter break. So looks like it's gonna be a mid-year turnover or mid-semester turnover for this as well. We've been working with the campus for secure entryway. They're using the original Moorhead Junior High entrance when we start the school year next week. And then as soon as we can turn them over to the front door, we are absolutely endeavoring to do so. But overall, the Caney Creek High School project is on schedule, and we're scheduled to finish that job in August of 2023.
So parent drop-off is basically on the other side.
Correct. Until this door opens for use,
That's
it'll
what
be
it's
on the other
always
side.
been.
Correct.
And then they have a separate, they've set up a separate entrance, like a parent waiting area.
Okay.
If you're familiar with the campus, that the exterior door enters right into a corridor where all the students will be passing. So that wouldn't be a good place for a parent to come in and check their kid out. So we've set up another door. It's on that back side still, but about 30 feet to the right. The parents can access from the outside, and we'll be able to have a secure door there, and it'll serve as the front office for parents during the day.
Okay.
So they have a good plan. Dr. Stickler's worked very hard. They have a good plan in place.
Good.
Good signage so people can find where to go. But they are anxiously awaiting getting the new front door turned over to them.
And you said the new front door is winter break or summer?
No, I mean, right now, it looks like it's gonna finish right around the middle of October.
Okay.
So, I mean, with all the deliveries that are currently scheduled, if everything happens the way it's supposed to, mid-October it should be usable. And that, I mean, aside from being a new front door, they get attendance office and a conference room and all the other spaces the other high schools enjoy. They will now have them accessible to the parents in that convenient fashion as well.
Thank you.
Moving on to Collins Intermediate, this is where we're adding a gym to facilitate PE separate from our lunch and breakfast activities. So you can see from our overhead picture, the building slab has been the primary focus. We're anxiously awaiting the structural steel to arrive for this one. Everything seems to line up like we had hoped it would. We don't have to build it in the fashion we built the one for Wilkerson last year, so the plans seem to be in place, and we're looking forward to using this for PE classes when they return from the winter break. Now, Collins also has some life cycle improvements of some of the other building systems, so we'll be on that campus through the end of next summer, August of 2023, but the gym looks to be complete for use in when we return from the winter break. And that's our update.
Are y'all addressing the sign for Annette Gordon Reed Elementary?
Yes, we are. I mean, so the letters are ordered so that they'll be more legible when they arrive. But we are addressing that from Mr. Sanders' comments last month.
All right,
Good
cool.
stuff.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Foster. All right. The Rick Reeves show. What up?
Yeah, we're gonna wear him out here a little bit.
8A.
We need to do a blanket on that?
We've made some adjustments here to make some blanket comments, but these are some big items that we just felt. I know that you have instructed us in the past, just based on the dollar amount of some of these contracts, that we didn't feel appropriate to put in consent agenda, so we wanted them to be presented appropriately. But we've worked through, and I think that Mr. Reeves is going to help us to work through this fairly quickly tonight.
Very good. Let me state this first one for you. So that
Keep them simple, keep them simple.
Consider award of RFP 220104 Career Technology Education Materials Supplement and Equipment.
Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll. Tonight, we'll be presenting the next 9 bid items for your approval. All have been issued through the district's online e-bidding system and advertised multiple times in the Conroe Courier and the purchasing website. The intent of the next 4 bids are to supplement and expand the current pool of vendors for each of those particular areas, which we bring forth for your approval semi-annually. With this in mind, I will begin with the first RFP. Tonight, we're requesting the board considers awarding RFP number 220104 for career technical education materials, supplies, and equipment to the vendors listed on your attached tabulation. This request for proposals is supplement and expand our current pool of vendors for CTE supplies awarded previously for the district with a total estimated annual spend of approximately $700,000. These vendors were asked to offer a percentage discount off of shelf or catalog prices. We had 20 vendors submit a response. The contract with the awarded vendors will remain firm through July of 2023, automatically renewing for 4 additional 1-year terms through July of 2027. These proposals were evaluated by the purchasing department. The funds are provided by the general and special revenue funds. Best value recommendations for award are noted, and at this time, we request your approval.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
You mentioned automatic renewal for 4 years.
Correct.
And we're obligated to do that, or?
We have an option to, if we have any issues, and we have an option to terminate the contract within 90 days of the contract renewal, so.
Perfect.
Good question. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Item B, consider award of RFP 220105, catering services.
Tonight, we're requesting the board considers awarding RFP 220105 for catering services to the vendors listed on your attached tabulation. This request for proposals is to supplement and expand our current pool of vendors for catering services and general food supplies awarded previously for the district with a total estimated annual expenditure of $500,000. Vendors were asked to offer a percentage discount off menu prices as well as any other relevant fees. We had 31 vendors submit a response. Contracts with these awarded vendors will remain firm through July of 2023, with also an option to renew annually for 4 additional one-year terms through July of 2027. These proposals were evaluated by the purchasing department. Funds are provided in the general fund. Best value recommendations for award are noted, and at this time, we request your approval.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any conversation? Seeing none, all those in favor of, show by uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Unanimous. All right, very good. Carries. Item D, consider award of RFP 220107, instructional supplies.
We need to go to C.
Where's C? Excuse me.
Appreciate that effort, though.
I got it. I'm ahead of myself.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, okay. C, thank you, Mr. Sanders. Consider award of RFP 220106, supplemental contracted educational services and professional development services.
We're requesting that the board considers awarding RFP 220106 for supplemental contract educational services and professional development services to the vendors listed on your attached tabulation. This request for proposals is supplement and expand our current pool of previous awarded vendors for contracted educational and professional development services with a total estimated annual expenditure of approximately $3.5 million. Vendors were asked to submit their fees based on the type of contracted services they provide, along with their support and credibility documentation. Service contract with these awarded vendors will remain firm through July of 2023, with the option to automatically renew for 4 additional one-year terms through July of 2027. These proposals were evaluated by the CISD Curriculum Instruction and Special Education Departments and reviewed by the Purchasing Department. Funds are provided in general and special revenue funds. Recommendations for award are noted, and at this time, we request your approval.
Okay.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions or conversation? I have a question for you on this one. As far as the vetting of the material, because this is the supplemental material, it still falls under all of our board policies.
Yes,
It
sir.
still
And this
falls
is,
under-
this is for the contracted services piece, so it's not the actual materials, so, and professional development, so yes, yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Unanimous. Very good. All right. I'm on to D now. Is that right? Okay. Consider award of RFP 220107, instructional supplies and material for the classroom.
We're requesting that the board considers awarding RFP 220107 for instructional supplies and materials for the classroom to the vendors listed on your attached tabulation. This request is to supplement and expand our current pool of previously awarded vendors for instructional supplies for the district with a total estimated annual expenditure of approximately $7.5 million in this category. Vendors were asked to offer a percentage discount off shelf or catalog prices. We had 42 vendors submit a response. Of those responses, approximately 68% of the vendors were not previously awarded by the district or a purchasing co-op, so we were really able to expand the pool. Good. Contracts will remain firm through July of 2023, automatically renewing for 4 additional one-year terms through July of 2027. These proposals were evaluated by the CISD Purchasing Department. Funds are provided in the general and special revenue funds. Recommendations for award are noted, and at this time, we request your approval.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second motion.
Discussion?
Yes, open for discussion.
What are these materials?
These are anything that, specifically, these vendors are ones that requested through our teaching and learning department. So vendors that are not currently on a co-op or on any kind of legal avenue for us to be able to make a purchase. So they send us these folks, and then we vet them through our bid process.
Would this be like books or like blank paper or pens or office
Anything
supplies?
that's going in the classroom. So it could be books, it could be any other instructional
Yeah, I guess just
materials.
piggybacking on what President Hubert said, all this stuff is going to be very
Correct.
closely vetted?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. And then you said 7.5 million annually?
That's for the total in this category, yes, sir.
And what does that year go through?
That's our rolling, starting in September 1 through September 1.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Very good. Motion is unanimous. All right, consider award of RFP 220108, Student Monitoring and Parent Notification System for School Buses.
All right. We're requesting that the board considers awarding RFP 220108 for Student Bus Monitoring and Parent Notification System to Smart Tag for an estimated annual expenditure of $850,000. This request for proposals pertaining to the purchase of a student bus monitoring and parent notification system, which includes all software and equipment installations on the district buses, as well as training and technical support for district employees. We had 6 vendors submit a bid response. Line item and discount prices will be effective for 1 year from time of award, automatically renewing annually for 3 additional 1-year terms through July of 2026. These proposals were evaluated by our transportation department, who also oversaw a pilot program that was implemented during the end of the school year and into the summer school, and also reviewed by the purchasing department. Funds for this purchase for this monitoring and notification system are provided from the general and special revenue funds. Best value offers are recommended for board award, and at this time, we request your approval.
Do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or conversation?
I just have a question.
Yes, sir.
So this is new technology, but can you, or Mr. Davila, explain a little bit more, just so everyone out here understands kind of what this does? I read, but I think it's important to maybe take a little bit more, because we're talking about being able to track our kids and where they are on the buses.
Right.
Well, absolutely. First, we'll clarify, we're not tracking the kid, excuse me, we're not tracking the kids.
Right.
We're monitoring. So I think it's an important designation, and I can't work this thing.
It's fine.
Okay. Excuse me, so that, the parents feel confident, and there's a lot of explanation that goes along as far as how the technology works, but essentially, it's a RFID tag, just like all of our IDs have. Disney uses similar technology when you go for the rides, it's on the band, so it's something that a lot of people are familiar with. Same type of technology when you go through a toll room. So it allows us to monitor students when they get on the bus, and then we're actually tracking the bus. And we can see where the students are, where they get on, where they get off, the time and location. And all this information is now available to school administrators, to transportation, and to parents. So they now feel, I think, more comfortable about where the students are, how far away they are before they get home, and just so many positive aspects about it. Rick mentioned about us doing a pilot project. And the great thing about that is the drivers found it very easy to use, the technology was. It comes with a tablet, and it makes it, makes it easy for our employees to be able to access the technology. If a student forgets the card, they can actually scan and have the load list already available, so they can actually add the student on. So there's a lot of fail-safe devices built into it so that we can still monitor the students that are getting on and off the bus.
Thank you.
We've had very much a manual process.
Right.
Where with scanners, it's with our elementary campuses. This was going to not only be beneficial to the transportation staff, but also to our elementary school staff as well.
Yeah, my wife tells me about that.
Yeah.
The scan deal.
That's right.
My question is it's on the kid's backpack, or it's on something. If they lose them, are they responsible? Okay, are the kids responsible for this? Is there a replacement fee that we're charging anybody, or any of that
There's
kind of stuff?
different things that districts have used, depending on if there may be free and reduced, whether the student would be paid for it or not. The typical charge is usually $5 for a replacement badge.
Okay.
But that would have to be, I think, decided on whether or not, what the cost would be, if there would be one, or if there were consequences. So if a student loses it 5 times, okay, is there a consequence for that? Or if they don't bring it to scan onto the bus. So those are some things that we would work out, the specific details on that. But when we did the pilot, it really wasn't an issue. It was actually a lot of students considered this their bus pass. So they were actually able to bring it and wear it, and it was easy for them to use.
So as you said, there's not a chip or anything in there that's tracking the kids. It only is activated when it gets scanned on and off.
That's correct. Actually, there's an embedded, the chip is actually embedded with a number. And that number means nothing. So if somebody was to lose a tag or somebody was to get one, all they would find would be a number. Where the secret of the technology works in is whenever it's sent through the cloud and it goes into the system, then that number is matched with what that student is, and then that's where all the data becomes available. So it's pretty secure in regards to that.
Gotcha.
Can we talk about a timeline of implementation? Because this is not going to be ready to roll next week, right?
Yes, sir. Hopefully, our goal is to have some rollout in January for the next semester, because we still have to, upon approval, of course, get all the equipment in, get it installed. We're looking at about close to 68, 70,000 student IDs that we'd have to get programmed and distributed to the schools. So there's a little bit of work behind it in order to get it all kicked off. And, but we're ready. We're hopefully
So it's not just
to
at
get it
the,
done.
it's not just at the elementary level?
Right now, it'd be across for all districts because hopefully, when it gets fully implemented, then the ID card can have multiple uses. And we're exploring that as well, possibly the point of sale with child nutrition or the library. So there's some other applications that we can hopefully capitalize on as well.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So, it would be a passive RFID card. It's just passive, it's not active, so you can't track the card.
Right.
But what we're also interested in, excited about from the safety aspect, is as a parent, I will be able to receive a notification both in the morning and the afternoon as the bus arrives. So thus, the parent and the child will not be necessarily required to stay out at the bus ramp in the heat in the morning or in the afternoon. You know when it's coming, and as a principal, it was always helpful when a parent would call or come to campus late in the day, and I could with certainty tell them where their child was. So I think that's something that will reassure our parents.
Absolutely. Just point of clarification, you said it notifies when a bus is coming, not when a bus gets there, right?
We can set it for ever how far out before it approaches your bus stop.
Okay, because I don't want it to cause delays and say the bus is there and now my kids running from upstairs, run outside and all that.
It'll be in.
Yeah, exactly. I need them to be out there. All right.
Very good.
I just had a few questions on the cost model. So we are paying for the technology and then we are monitoring it, or we are also paying for monitoring services? And one follow-up there. Is it a full package deal, or are we paying also per student or per card? Is there a sliding scale there? Yes.
So as far as, you said, are we paying for the package deal? It is full implementation. We own the equipment, we own the tablets, and there is no reoccurring, there's usually a maintenance fee, but in this case here, this includes the whole first year of all the cards. After that, then we have to purchase replacement cards, or if a tablet gets broke, we would have to purchase another tablet. But this is for the initial startup of the whole software. There's no reoccurring like air charge or anything like that. All that's included. Then after that, then there's a maintenance agreement, like we have on our GPS system, for instance. You pay an annual fee in order to continue to use, the air service, the GPS service.
Okay, so not like subscription-based kind of software?
It's not per
talking about-
student or anything like that. It's you get the whole software. There's actually other aspects of the software that we may look at exploring later that will come with it. But, first things first, we want to crawl before we run. So want to get it implemented.
And we retain all of the data, right?
That's correct. Yeah, it works through the iCloud, but we do, the data is secure. Now, they have it on a server, but, we control that, or that's our data.
I'm sorry, who owns the server?
It goes to iCloud, and it's on the company servers, protected servers.
The company being them, or?
Right, right.
But we have protections. Anytime that our student data is stored, well, even when we store it, there are set protections for how we protect data. So it goes through our technology department, and then Carrie also verifies the legality of that. So we're very, and sometimes it does cost us the ability to do business with some vendors because we have a very high standard that we don't waver from on protecting student data. So when someone gets to this point and they've cleared our hurdles, then they're very secure.
And I just had one more quick question. And who has access to that data? You said about the number. I think that's a really good system. That you said the number gets transferred then to somebody. Who's the gatekeeper on that?
It goes to the number on the chip whenever it's read, goes through the iCloud, and then it goes to our computer systems. So whoever has access to it, so like I said, the campus administrators, independent, whatever access is given to the parents, they're able to log in and get certain data as well. And then, of course, transportation, any administrators here that would want to have access to it would be able to log in and actually, since it's a web-based program, that's what makes it so much easier for folks to have access to the data that should have access to it.
Is this used in other districts?
Yes, ma'am. There's quite a few other districts that they provide, like this vendor that we're recommending has provided that is using the software currently. I think there's about 100 other customers that it's on the list that they gave us, and I can't remember if it was about 10 or 15 in Texas that are using it right now.
It might be worth throwing into, it's based out of Texas. I believe Georgetown, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I believe it's
Austin, Georgetown area, so it's based out of Texas and Texas.
And do they, is the key stays with the vendor? Like the key to match the card to the student? Does that key stay with the vendor, or is that something we do on our side?
As far as the programming, the information, actually, I'm sorry, it was
As the way to translate the card that's just a number, right, a chip, to a student, that key.
The number is pre-programmed on the card, so whenever they print the card out, it's not just a printer, but it's a computer, and it matches the student with that card. We actually will be printing our own card, so we have the key to imprint the card with the student data, or not the card, but tie the data, the student number or the card number to the data, and then we have control over that data.
So the data that goes to the cloud that the vendor has are just numbers, but not tied to a student's name or information. Okay, thank you.
Yes, it's not. You don't see the student data until it goes through our computer systems behind our firewall, and then we can, look up whatever information's on there.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. That motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second and the discussion. Any other discussion? Very good. I'll call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. And any opposed by the same sign. Very good. Motion carries. Thank you for that. I appreciate the question and the conversation. Item F, consider award of RFP 220405, gasoline, diesel, and propane fuel.
Yikes.
All right, we're requesting that the board considers awarding RFP 220405 for gasoline, diesel, and propane fuel to the three vendors listed for an estimated annual expenditure of approximately $4.5 million. For regular unleaded and ultra-low sulfur diesel, we're looking at Midtex Oil LP. For biodiesel fuel, Mansfield Oil Company of Gainesville. For propane, we're looking at AmeriGas Propane. Bear with me on this one. This request for proposals was conducted to vet qualified suppliers in partnership with eBridge, which is a provider of reverse auction bidding platform. We brought a few months ago, we did our trash through this process. To secure pricing for the purchase of gasoline, diesel, and propane fuel for the district. So the reverse auction is a secure web-based electronic sealed bidding process in which qualified suppliers competitively bid for a defined product over a period of time. So gasoline and diesel vendors were asked to propose a price differential above or below the average price on the Petroleum Administration for Defense District, also known as a PAD 3 report, published for Houston, Texas, by the Oil Price Information Service, also known as OPIS. PADs are utilized today to track regional movements of crude oil and petroleum products in the United States. Propane vendors were asked to propose a price differential above or below their average price on the Butane Propane National, which BPN price for Houston, Texas. The price of fuel delivered during the contract term will be determined by applying this differential bid to the OPIS daily rack average or the BPN price in effect on the date of delivery. So the differential is all inclusive, including any applicable fee, tax, state fee, or any other cost. We had 9 vendors that submitted a response. The awarded differential shall remain firm for 1 year through July of 2023, automatically renewing annually for 2 additional 1-year terms through July of 2025. Our price comparisons with the current bid shows a differential net decrease of 3% for fuel. Proposals were evaluated by the Transportation Department and reviewed by the Purchasing Department. Funds are provided in the general fund. Best value offers are recommended for board award, and at this time, we request your approval.
All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Williams seconded that. Any questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, I call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Very good. Motion passes. All right, G, consider award of RFP 220507, charter bus and student group travel services.
All right, we're requesting that the board considers awarding RFP 220507 for charter bus and student group travel services to the 14 vendors that were listed on your tab for an estimated annual expenditure of $570,000. This request for proposals pertaining to charter bus and group travel, student travel for the district, asks vendors to provide pricing for charter bus and/or student group travel needs, as well as current rates and sample quotes for common trip scenarios. Vendors also agree to monthly compliance checks by the purchasing department to ensure safety and insurance requirements are satisfactory. 14 vendors submitted a response. The service contract shall be valid for 1 year through July of 2023 with an option to renew annually for 2 additional 1-year terms through July of 2025. These proposals were evaluated by the Fine Arts Department, Athletic Department, and the Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education, also reviewed by the Purchasing Department. These funds are provided in the general fund. Best value offers are recommended for board award, and at this time, we request your approval.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. All right, it's a marathon. We're almost there. All right, H, consider award of RFP 220509 grease trap services. Let's talk grease traps.
The one we've all been waiting for.
We're requesting that the board considers awarding RFP 220509 for grease trap services to MagnaFlow Environmental Incorporated for an estimated annual expenditure of $100,000. This request for proposals pertaining to the purchase of grease trap services for the district asks vendors to provide firm prices per gallon for cleaning and disposal of the waste material in the CISD grease traps throughout the district. The contract term shall be for initially through July of 2023, automatically renewing for 2 additional 1-year terms through July of 2025. Proposals were evaluated by the custodial maintenance departments and reviewed by the purchasing department. Funds for these purchases are provided in the general fund. Best value offers are recommended for board award, and at this time, we request your approval.
Moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions about grease traps? No? All right. They work. All those in favor of the motion, show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion passes. All right, thank you.
Almost there.
All right, item I, consider award of CSP 220511, network and IP phone system for Flex 22 campus.
We're requesting that the board considers awarding CSP 220511 for network and IP phone systems for our Flex 22 campus to DataVox Incorporated for an estimated expenditure of $750,000. This competitive sealed proposal pertains to the purchase of network and IP phone systems for the Flex 22 campus technology project, which will consist of any combination of the following. So you have your wireless access points, routers, switches, racks for routers and switches, phones, uninterrupted power supply, and any cabling and cabling components related to the installation and operation of these devices. Based on the abnormally long lead times to acquire these items, the district has chosen to procure these items now to ensure timely installation prior to the start of school next year. So 2 vendors submitted qualifying bid responses. Pricing for this project shall be effective upon board award through September 30th of 2023, with an option to automatically renew annually for 2 additional 1-year terms if we needed. Proposals were evaluated by members of the technology department and reviewed by the purchasing department. Funding will be provided in the capital projects fund, and at this time, we request your approval.
Motion.
Second.
You have a motion and a second? Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
How does this price compare to the last time we had to buy this
Ooh.
bundle of things for schools?
It's gone up significantly.
Probably more.
Very
And we have a name for this school?
We do.
And what is that name again?
Dr. Hines.
I can hear you. What?
Dr. Hines.
Oh, okay.
You have to clap every time we say that. Like, we don't-
One more time. Three's the charm.
Yeah.
For the record, it's Dr. Hines. For those, number 22 is,
That's correct.
Okay.
When we released it, it was still Flex 22, so.
Yeah.
for my notes, I'm putting Dr.
There you
Hines.
go.
Any other questions? All right, very good. Thank you. I call the motion, or how about I call the vote?
Yeah.
All those in favor show by the uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries. All right, item J, consider approval of a resolution authorizing the district to enter into an interlocal purchase agreement with the city of Fort Worth and authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute any documents necessary to effectuate the agreement.
You got it?
All right, finally, we're requesting that the board adopts a resolution authorizing the district to enter into an interlocal purchase agreement with the city of Fort Worth. So pursuant to the Texas Local Government Code, Section 271-102, Interlocal Cooperation Act, Chapter 91 of the Texas Government Code, state agencies or local governments, including public school districts, are encouraged to engage in cooperative purchasing to achieve savings and/or create efficiencies in the purchase of goods and/or services. The city of Fort Worth and Conroe ISD, by this agreement, agrees to enter into a cooperative purchasing program between the city and the district to allow both parties to purchase materials, supplies, goods, services, or equipment. In particular, the district requests to join the city of Fort Worth's J.P. Morgan Chase Commercial Card Consortium contract, which is used by multiple Texas school districts throughout the state, to use for travel purchasing cards to meet the increasing and ever-shifting needs of the district for employee and student travel. Specifically, at this time, this will assist in payments to hotels for large student group travels, as there are an increasing number of hotels who do not accept checks as a form of payment. There are no fees associated with this agreement, and at this time, we request you adopt this resolution with the city of Fort Worth.
All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
A motion? Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any questions? All right, call the vote. All those in favor shall be uplifted hand. Any opposed by the same sign? Very good. Motion passes. Mr. Reeves, you may sit down, but you may not leave.
Good job, Mr. Reeves.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, I'd like to ask if we have a recess so we can go into
Public hearing?
public
Yes, sir.
hearing.
All right, so it's,
Time is 7:52.
so we're not actually recessing, taking a break here, but we are going to move into our public hearing tonight to discuss the budget and the proposed tax rate for the school district. We will hear from Mr. Darren Rice, our Chief Financial Officer. At the conclusion of his presentation, there'll be an opportunity for comment as well. Mr. Rice, are you good to go?
Almost ready.
Okay.
Gotta wear the spectacles.
We're challenging Mr. Rice tonight because our large TV in the back that he could usually present from is not functioning, so he's having to use the small TV to get the glasses out.
So y'all will see me looking down a lot at these slides because that is very difficult for me to read. We have this going, so thank you, Dr. Knoll. Good evening, President Hubert, members of the board, Dr. Knoll, and community members. It is my pleasure to present the 2022-2023 preliminary budget. First, I would like to thank the Finance Office staff for their work on the budget this year. To name a few, Karen Garza, Janice Stowers, Rachel Battaglia, Cindy Wester, and of course the whole finance team, and they're very instrumental in the preparation of this budget. I would also like to thank the CISD board for participating in our numerous budget workshops, and we appreciate your input and guidance you provided over the last 7 months. So we will start with recognizing a few of our financial highlights for the year. First, we received a superior rating for the year ended August 31st, 2020 from the state's Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas. We just received notification that we will receive a superior rating for last year's also, so we're very excited about that. We also received a clean audit from our independent auditors, Weaver, for the year ended August 31st, 2021. Conroe ISD is one of only 2 ISDs to receive a 5-star rating, which is the highest you can receive, all 12 years by Texas Smart Schools. Texas Smart Schools is a program that was started in the State Comptroller's Office that rates schools, both on financial and academic performance. CISD was the first district in the state to earn transparency awards from the state for our finance, debt, and purchasing presentations. And all this information can be found on the district's transparency website. Some of the items that you will find on this website include tax rate disclosures, multiple revenue and expenditure presentations, our annual financial statements, our check registers for both our AP and payroll accounts. And for those that are wanting budget information, the website includes a by department raw format budget information that you can download to Excel. It also includes our award-winning budget book, and this is a 380-page document of the budget that drills down in the budget from an executive summary all the way to matching each department and every campus's line item budget allocation to their goals and objectives. This budget presentation we're doing this evening will also be on the website. And this is just a sample of the useful information that is available on our transparency website. Our 2022-2023 budget calendar. The budget calendar is a tool that identifies important milestones in the budget process. And throughout the budget process, the finance staff is working diligently to ensure our budget is fiscally responsible and making sure that we are providing the economic resources needed so our students can be academically successful. So just looking at a couple of dates on our budget calendar. At the 1st of February, February 1st, we had our first board workshop to discuss the budget. And at that board workshop, we looked at our projections and our goals for the year. Also in the month of February, we did our initial planning meeting with Tasmi to discuss our salary compensation plan for 2022-2023. And in February, we did our benefits design and rate planning with our employee benefits committee and our consultants Gallagher. At the April 5th board workshop to discuss the budget, Tasmi came and presented our compensation plan to the board, and our benefit plan design was presented to the board also. April 19th, at the regular board meeting, our benefit plan was approved by the board. May 5th, at the special board meeting, the board approved our compensation plan for 2022-2023. This past July, we had a meeting with the district level planning and decision-making committee to discuss the 22-23 budget, and at that meeting, they voted unanimously to recommend this budget to the board for approval at the August 16th meeting. August 2nd, you can see we're here tonight for our first public hearing on the 2022-2023 budget and tax rate. And then on August 16th, at our regular board meeting, we will have an additional public hearing on the budget and tax rate. And that evening, we will ask the board to adopt the budget and the tax rate. So moving into the budget itself, we will begin with the major components that drive our budget. And these are our budget objectives for the 2022-2023 year. And they include to meet the needs for the 22-23 school year. This year we are opening Gordon Reed Elementary. We want to provide a competitive compensation plan. As we have seen, inflation is growing tremendously at 9.1% last I saw. We want to utilize an aggressive approach to staffing allocations to hire the best teachers available in a tight job market. And we want to continue to provide the supplies and equipment for maintaining a safe and productive learning environment for our students and staff. We always like to check the status of our fund balance, very important, and our goal is to maintain an unassigned fund balance in the range of 20 to 25% of our budget. So using our high-end target of 25%, our projected unassigned fund balance at 8/31/22 is $178.5 million. Our target of 25% is $155 million, showing available $23.5 million. And as you see, the asterisk that is proposed to designate for our future land purchases that we've discussed. Our attendance data. Our attendance data schedule is the most important schedule we will look at today. And that is because our enrollment and ADA are the two biggest factors that determine our revenue and expenditures. And that is because our expenditure budget is based on our enrollment. However, our revenue that we actually receive from the state, we only receive it based on our average daily attendance. So this year, we're using an enrollment of 69,515 students. That is anticipating 1,750 new students this year. And we're using an average daily attendance percentage of 94%. So this chart just shows our growth over the last 10 years. You can see pretty steady growth. It used to be 1,500 students every year, but we had a little dip in 2021 because of COVID. That's the COVID year. However, in 21-22, we rebounded with 3,200 students this past year. We are anticipating, like I said, 1,750 new students for 69,515 for 22-23. Our certified property values, we did receive our certified estimate from the appraisal district. Property values are estimated to grow at 21.85% this year. That will generate about $9.4 billion in additional certified value, bringing our total certified value to $52.5 billion. Very important to note that the increase in property values provides the district with no net new revenue in our general fund. Now, this is the only source of revenue we have in our debt service fund, but it provides no new net revenue in our general fund. So, there is this misconception by some that with the growing property values, the district will have a windfall of money in our operating budget, and that is just not true. This slide demonstrates how higher property values do not increase the district's general fund revenue. The increased property value benefits the state, not the district. The slide on the right is straight off of TEA's website, and it shows that as our property value goes up and increases our local tax revenue, the state reduces its funding for the school district dollar for dollar. The slide on the left shows that no matter what the property value increase is, whether it's 5% or 20%, our state calculated entitlement remains the same at $576 million. The only change is the portion that the state pays versus what our local taxpayers have to pay. So with that growth, what does it do to our tax rate? Right now, we're projecting our tax rate to be at $1.1146. That is a 6.14-cent tax decrease on our tax rate. We will have a 26-cent debt service tax rate, and our M&O tax rate will be 85.46 cents. Since 2018-2019, this will be a 16.54-cent tax decrease on our tax rate. So where does that put us in comparison with the greater Houston area? If you look over there on the far right, in the red column, that is Conroe ISD. We are the second lowest tax rate for 2022-2023 in the greater Houston area at $1.1146. The districts in the dark blue, that is our local Montgomery County school districts. And the districts that are there in the green, those are our peer school districts that we compare to not only academically, but also financially. I say compare, but also mean compete. I like that. We compete with them also. So now that we have looked at the components that drive the budget, we will take a look at the effect that they have on the budget, beginning with our 2022-2023 revenue projection. So the first line is our local revenue, based off a 2.85% value increase, our tax rate being compressed by House Bill 3 to 85.46 cents will generate $54 million. But as we just discussed, our state revenue will decrease because of Robin Hood and House Bill 3 by the exact dollar for dollar amount, $54 million. We will receive increased state funding because of our 1,750 anticipated new students. That will generate $29.01 million. We are able to increase our interest revenue because interest rates have inched up over the last few months, so we'll increase that by $2.5 million. And this is the first year of the teacher incentive allotment, so we'll increase that by $2.2 million, giving us a total estimated available funding of $33.71 million. So moving to the expenditure side of the budget, we will take a look at this year's pay increase, and we will start with the Tasmi salary study. Tasmi is the Texas Association of School Boards, and they conduct a comprehensive survey of salaries, stipends, and pay practices for Texas public school districts. Our participation ensures the district has access to the most recent market data available to pay competitive salaries and hire the best employees. And it allows the district to evaluate our compensation plan as compared to districts in our area that are hiring from the same applicant pool. So after working through the compensation process, this is our approved 2022-2023 general pay increase. For our teachers, librarians, that is a $1,500 increase or 2.4% increase on the midpoint. That is at a cost of about $6.2 million. All other employees in the district will receive a 2% raise. And also we have increased our minimum hourly rate to $13 per hour. That 2% and $13 raise up to $13 will cost about $6.8 million, bringing the total general pay increase to $13 million. This is our approved 2022-2023 teacher hiring schedule. Once again, a 2.4% general pay increase, which is $1,500. We do have some additional adjustments from years 1 through 6, and our starting teacher salary will be $60,000. So moving to staffing, one of our goals this year was to be aggressive with our hiring of teachers, and part of that included some adjusting to our staffing formulas. And we adjusted our pre-K student-teacher ratios from 22-to-1 to 19-to-1. That was a cost of about $1 million. We adjusted grades 5 and 6 from 26-to-1 to 25-to-1 at a cost of about $600,000. So for support at the campus level to accommodate 1,750 new students, our staffing formula changes, and the opening of Creighton Elementary, Our 2022-2023 additional personnel includes 195 new positions that consist of 163 teachers and 31 paraprofessionals, with a total cost of $13,450,000. So these are our estimated expenditures for 22-23. Our general pay increase, once again, $13 million. Additional personnel for growth, $13.45 million. We did do an increase to our substitute pay and some stipend increases at the junior high level primarily of $620,000. The teacher incentive allotment, first year of that program, $2.1 million. We're backing out the employee retention stipend out of the general fund. However, it is moving to our ESSER funds. The employees will still receive the retention stipend, which is scheduled for $500 in the fall and $1,000 in the spring. We're increasing our utility budget as the price of fuel goes up, our utilities go up. We're increasing that by $2 million. Fuel budget increased by $1 million. And other expenses, including insurance, supplies, et cetera, $1.54 million, for a total expenditure increase of $23.71 million. So this is our 2022-2023 preliminary budget. On the revenue side, our beginning revenue was $586.12 million. Our total estimated revenue increase of $33.71 million, giving us an estimated total revenue of $619.83 million. On the expenditure side, our beginning expenditures are $596.12 million. Our total estimated expenditure increase of $23.71 million, giving us an estimated total expenditure of $619.83 million. This is a balanced budget. And over last year, this is a 3.98% increase in our budget. So this chart shows our budget by major object. As you can see, we're very people intensive. 89.31% of our budget goes to our payroll. 5.14% of our budget goes to contracted services. The largest individual item in there is our utility bill. Supplies and materials makes up 4.1% of our budget. The largest item in there is fuel for our buses. And the last 1.45% goes to equipment and other, and the largest item in there is the property insurance we pay for our buildings. This is the 2023-24 pro forma budget. Using some conservative numbers, but just to prove a point as far as what the work the state needs to do. We use 2.5% AV growth and 1,300 student growth. Beginning revenue of $619.83 million. That student growth and AV growth will have a total revenue increase of about $13.2 million, giving us estimated total revenue of $633.03 million. On the expenditure side, our beginning expenditures, $619.83 million. A 2% salary increase for our employees will cost $12.5 million. The additional personnel for growth for 23-24 of 1,300 new students and opening of the new junior high, $10 million. Other expenses for utilities, fuel, insurance, and supplies, $1 million. TRS in-kind funds, just an accounting entry, $1.5 million. For total estimated expenditure increase of $25 million, showing our estimated total expenditures of $644.83 million for a potential deficit of $11.8 million. And what is that? The reason that that is significant and the reason I wanted to point this out is because what this shows us is in the current state funding formula, House Bill 3 does not have a mechanism within it to provide raises for our employees. As you can see, our deficit is almost the same amount as a 2% raise we have for our employees. So there's no mechanism within the state funding formula that the district has available to provide raises for our employees. So we hope in this next legislative session that they do address this. I know Dr. Knoll has had a lot of conversations, and probably board members also, with our legislators to encourage them to address that mistake in the, I don't want to call it a mistake, but what is omitted currently in House Bill 3. So what's next? Just finalize our revenue, tax rate, local assessed value. We will get our actual certified values on August 5th. We do not anticipate any material change in the values that I showed you this evening. Then on the board meeting on August 6th, we will have an additional public hearing, and then that evening we will also ask the board to adopt our budget and our tax rate.
Thank you, Mr. Rice.
Thank you.
This time we will open it up for comment. If If anyone would like to make a comment, you're welcome to come to the podium. If you would state your name, and you have 2 minutes for a comment.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, this is not a revenue neutral tax rate? That the revenue increase will be 13.6 million as compared to the current school year? And a lot of this is driven by the
By
appraisals?
growth, yeah.
So our revenue is actually increasing 33.7 million.
Okay. So,
That is primarily due, that is 99% based off the student growth, 1,750 new
Okay.
students. If we did not have any student growth, we would have net no new revenue.
okay.
The only reason we have additional revenue is because we're anticipating student growth.
Because you hear a lot of talk in taxing entities about a revenue neutral tax rate vis-a-vis the appraisal.
Yes.
What happened particularly this year?
That's a great question. Maybe if you, Darren, will you pull the mic to the podium, because I'd like for you to address that, because I think that's a great question, Mr. Schrader. Is, the school district budgets don't function like a city's budget or the county's budget that are all locally funded. So Darren, can you just talk just briefly about what that means from golden pennies to the floor of the tax rate and the way where we are?
In House Bill 3, the mechanism in House Bill 3 that passed is, we're based off of current year values as they do our state funding formula. So everything now runs through the state funding formula. So as our tax values increase, the state first compresses our tax rate. And we are currently at the lowest tax rate we can possibly adopt other than our 5 golden pennies. The floor is at 80.46 cents, then we get to add the 5 golden pennies. That is really the only discretion that the board has, is our 5 golden pennies in our tax rate. And those pennies, as y'all are aware, we get the tax revenue, but also the state subsidy of about half of what that 1 cent generates. Now it's about $5.2 million from there, and about $3 million from the state. So there's that added benefit of those 5 golden pennies. So versus let's say that the county or the city or any other taxing jurisdiction, as their values go up, they just get the benefit of those values unless they purposely lower their tax rates. Us, we're forced by the state funding formula. It's calculated what our tax rate is.
And we are purely funded on student enrollment, as you said. It's not there's no other formula that's applied. It's in the truest sense, it's like a zero-based budget. If we had no students, we would get no funding.
Correct.
It's purely based on the number of students.
And our only increase in our revenue this year is based off of new students coming into the district.
If I could I'll make a note. I'm not going to say the districts, but 2 of those districts that are our peer districts, I would share that I've read articles this week. One of them is adopting their proposed budget that they will adopt is over $100 million deficit in their budget, and another one is at almost $50 million deficit budget of our peer districts. And the budget that Mr. Rice presented tonight is a balanced budget for Conroe ISD. So that's because of the work that you do, and we understand your expectation of us to bring you a balanced budget, and we appreciate your guidance and making sure that that's what we're able to bring to you.
Yeah, also on the debt services calculation, I know years prior, you talked about that $23 million coming out of the general fund that can be used for purchases for land and stuff like that. At a time, we were able to use that to pay down debt.
Right.
And get out of debt sooner.
Right.
And the state took that away from us as well and said, if you have a 30-year bond, you have a 30-year bond.
Well, we can pay early. What they took away was our opportunity to use basically those golden pennies, right? So you could, as a school district, and Darren, please correct me if I say this wrong, but as a school district, you could access more golden pennies, right, which would bring in additional funding. And so you could turn that 1 penny of local, what you would be charging your local taxpayers 1 penny, and for us that would generate $5 million. But if it was a golden penny, it would generate 8. Right. And you take that 8 million from our general fund and slide it over to debt service, so that we could basically be using more state funding to pay our bills. The state took away that opportunity for us. That's why we had to adjust our tax rate a few years ago. It was a very effective way to help pay down debt, but I understand why the state closed that loophole on not just us, but statewide.
I'm sorry, I think it used to be a penny was 4 million local and then 4 million from Austin, roughly. And now I'm hearing, what is it, 5 million? Is that what I heard you say?
Well, since our tax value is now $52 billion.
Oh, I see,
1
yeah,
cent
right,
on
yeah,
that is
yeah.
about 5.2 billion. And
So that one golden penny, we do 5.2 and then Austin matches it at 5.2?
it's about 3.5 right now.
So ours is 5.2 and theirs is 3.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, the golden penny.
Okay, in my notes I had, is that flip-flop? I'm just double checking. I'm not trying to,
1 penny generates about $5.2 million local revenue, but from the state, it generates in the neighborhood of $3 million.
so the
I don't
golden
know
penny's
the
still
exact-
roughly 8?
Yes.
But instead of
Yeah.
being 4 and 4, it's 5 and 3?
Yes.
Correct.
Is that teeter-totter we saw?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Okay.
It is a very complicated spread. The
Nobody
calculation-
understands it.
Yeah.
Nobody
No.
understands school funding.
In the simplest,
Yeah,
the simplest way.
It's just hard to explain.
Yeah, Darren understands it.
Okay, there's one guy in the
Karen
state of
and I could-
Texas.
We could talk to y'all all night long if y'all want to sit down and have a conversation.
Explain
about
to me like I'm an
tax rate
8-year-old.
calculations.
The simplest way to understand it is we are funded based on the number of kids that are here, period. You know, it doesn't matter, that's really what it's about, you know? And when you talk about places that have to pay back money to the state, that means they're generating more local funds than they have enrollment. That's why they have to send a check back to the state. You know, you don't get to keep the extra. You only get to be funded on the number of students that are enrolled in your school. And that's for us and everyone else. The discretion lies in those 5 golden pennies, and you have places, you know, other school districts that have done what's called TREs, where they have gotten permission from their voters to access even more golden pennies. So how many are available?
Three more golden, and how many copper are there, Karen? Eight copper pennies, which just aren't as rich as the golden pennies.
Sure.
So there are some school districts that are, past a TRE and are accessing those funds.
Yeah. For us, we've hit that cap. We couldn't do that unless we went out for a TRE. So we function where we are based on our current tax rate.
Well, we appreciate you guys listening to us and making sure we have a balanced budget and that we're fiscally responsible. I mean, how many schools got those awards since it's been open?
Well,
2.
Smart School 2, us and
Yeah.
Sunflower.
When I got here in 2014, there was 5.
Yes.
And now it's down to us and somebody else every single year. That's great.
Good job.
All right, well, that will conclude our hearing. We'll turn
All
it
right.
back to you.
We will gavel back into our board meeting. Time is 8:18. Ms. Garza is itching to tell us about our finances. So, item 10, receive financial reports.
I feel like this information's a little outdated because we've been through the month of July now, but I'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about July.
Okay.
So President Hubert, members of the board, and Dr. Knoll, it is my pleasure this evening to present the financial statements as of June 30th. First statement is our balance sheet. The balance sheet shows the district's assets, liabilities, and fund balance. In the general fund, we have total assets of $273 million, debt service just over $53 million, child nutrition $15 million, self-funded insurance just over $7.5 million. Taking a closer look at our cash and investments in the general fund, we have just over $255 million in cash and investments, the majority of that being in our state pools at $134 million. Debt service, $49.1 million, child nutrition, just shy of $14 million, and self-funded insurance, $7.1 million. This is our income statement as of June 30th. Total revenue in the general fund of $522 million, total expenditures of $438 million. Our 2019 bond referendum, total funds expended and encumbered as of June 30th is just over $411 million. The $165 million that you see at the bottom there as of June 30th, that transaction did close in early July, so all of our bonds from the 2019 bond referendum have been sold. We have estimated to complete of a little over $238 million. Our self-funded insurance update for the month of June, not too bad. We had total revenue of $4.4 million, total expenditures of just over $4.7 million for a deficit of a little over $300,000 for the month. We are at a deficit of $3.1 million for the year. Actually, the month of July was not too bad either. It turned out about the same as June, so we are, in anticipating the rebates that we're going to get from pharmacy, we are looking at, through the month of July, a deficit of just over $2 million for the year. So we're optimistic going into the month of August. We know it could prove to be a very high usage month for the plan because it typically has been, but we are pleased at the July numbers as they did come in the way they did. So our investments as of June 30, our par value is just over $602 million. The pool's yielding 1.18. Our money market with Wood Forest at 1.17. Our shorter term investments at 69 basis points, and our longer term investments with TCG at 84 basis points. And then our combined portfolio at 1.13. The yield to maturity of the 90-day T-bill at the end of June was 1.6. I looked this morning, as of yesterday, it was 2.48. So given what the Fed did in July, rates are definitely on the rise.
Sure.
So there'll be updated information in a couple weeks on that.
Very good. Thanks, Rosa. Believe it or not, we do not have executive session today, so we have a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Adjourn, all those in favor? Good. Adjourn. Thank you very much.